If someone were to ask you, what is the purpose of art, how would you respond? I'll spare you the pretentious multi-page build-up that you might expect from some arrogant art snob's mediocre art blog, but chances are, the prospect of provocative thought came to mind in one way or another. Art is cause for idea and emotion. Anything from joy to sorrow can be personified by an artist's work. But what if the artist is aiming for a particular reaction? One which is not left for the spectator to decide upon. Shock artists fulfill this role. Their work is inherently meant to offend and repulse all who ingest it. And if you were to search for a list of controversial and disturbing artists, you'll likely find that a majority of them come from either English-speaking countries or somewhere in Europe. Rarely are Asian artists mentioned in Western publications, which is a shame, really. Some of the most disturbed, macabre art has been devised in certain parts of Asia. The exclusion could be for any number of reasons. Regardless, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce you to our subject of study, the notorious Chinese performance artist, Zhu Yu. Hyper-realistic paintings of mundane objects and human refuse. With our bird's-eye view, we look from above, down on the subject of each painting. The details remain unobstructed, allowing you the chance to let your mind explore. Let's start with pebble. Carefully scour each line in the rock. What sort of imagery comes to mind when focusing on the colors? Now, the same for both stains. Whatever you have visualized, take note of it. We'll come back to these paintings later. At this point, you may be wondering, what makes Zhu Yu such a controversial figure? For that, we have to go back a couple decades.
The year 2000 is less than a minute away! Happy New Year, everyone!
Considering the worldviews projected onto China have been anything but positive for quite some time, it is not difficult to imagine why there is so little coverage of Chinese artists, and by proxy, most Asian artists in general, save for maybe Japan. This inherent societal bias has directly impacted the potential for Chinese artists to grow. These artists have felt both sorrow from the treatment received by the world and their government, as well as desire. Desire to be seen, to be noticed, and to be respected. Together, these emotions have led to Chinese artists producing some of the darkest art in pursuit of attention, fame, and fortune. Quite successfully, at that. Zhu intended to use his art as a means for causing debate regarding morality and moral agendas, while utilizing shocking imagery and concepts to draw your eyes. What you are seeing right now is a series of photographs that make up the performance piece, Dinner, Eating People. The photos document Zhu obtaining, cleaning, cooking, and consuming a human fetus. Eating People was to be displayed at the Fuck Off art exhibition, an art exhibition that allowed for Chinese artists to express themselves beyond what other events allowed. The founders, Feng Boyi and A Weiwei, felt that other exhibitions in the country catered to international audiences and their oppressive government, as opposed to locals and the artists themselves. But even in this lenient expo, Zhu Yu's eccentric work had to be pulled at the last minute for fear of government-enforced censorship. Fortunately for Zhu, international media outlets had caught wind of his art before it was removed from the showcase. News stations ran with the topic, claiming it to be evidence of a baby-eating trend. When it was stated that these photos came from an art performance, public perception, as you might be able to guess, did not improve. Of course, the fetus in question was not real, but at the time, many believed it to be. The photographs had begun circulating the internet through emails and forum posts, snowballing Yu's infamy as a cannibalistic monster. As the photos continued to circulate online, various parties grew ever more involved. The FBI and Scotland Yard launched investigations regarding Zhu Yu and his work. As previously mentioned, news outlets from across the globe spread false headlines for years. Anti-Chinese propaganda began spreading across social media, claiming that dead fetuses could be purchased and were viewed as a delicacy across China. These same claims, still using Zhu's photos, emerged in late 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic. The highly controversial documentary, Beijing Swings, had been produced as a means of shining a greater light on the esoteric art which emerged in Beijing. And, of course, political parties in close proximity to China, specifically the Turkestan Islamic Party, spread rumors of the Chinese devouring Muslim children. Eating people sought to spark debate over human morality, and as a response to the visceral shock tactics employed by various Chinese artists of the time. Prior works from these artists included the usage of human corpses, animal carcasses, and so on. But a fetus had yet to be used as paint for the canvas. Why should it matter? Mutilation, explicit sexual themes, and cruelty were commonplace among shock artists. Why would a supposed unborn and discarded fetus be cause for any concern? How many defiled corpses would incite an equal response to the consumption of but a singular fetus? Regardless of public reception, Zhu Yu found himself in a perfect position. The unceasing streams of hate and criticism brought with it endless publicity. All the while, he remained unmoved by public opinion. Despite the overtly grotesque nature of Zhu's most controversial piece, eating people is hardly his first step into the macabre arts. Previous performance works included legally acquiring, cutting, jarring, and boiling human brain samples, which he then sold, as well as surgically removing his own skin and grafting it to a pig carcass. But those aren't what we're interested in, as disturbed as they may be. By now, you've likely established that Zhu Yu has an extensive fixation on human anatomy and its individual parts. These deviant tastes have brought us full circle. With this newfound insight, let's take a closer look at the paintings. Do keep in mind your own personal interpretations may differ. First off, pebble. The shape resembles a crude ovoid object, like any other rock to be sure. But the colors, the sheen, the porous surface, and vein-like patterns give way to an organic, fleshy object. An organ maybe? A lump of skin? It's hard to say for sure. However, stains is far more interesting. These tea stains appear as inoffensive as any other. But knowing what we now know, what else might you see? By treating this like a Rorschach test, masses of embryonic fluid and cells manifest before our eyes, as well as vague depictions of organs of some kind, a stomach or perhaps a kidney. I'll save any further points of discussion for yourselves to explore. Apologies for the disjointed and relatively quick video. I've been away for some time, again, and frankly, I lost track of where I was in the writing process during my absence. I hope this isn't too much of a problem. Anyway, thank you for your time and support, no matter how brief. Have a pleasant day.